Ed, and then Phoebe, and then Mr. Georgia, go ahead. And then
No, I just wanted to say, from our trip to California, I brought my book, and I was just passing it around so people could just take a look at, you know, the work that we was doing there while we was there. Doesn't have to be a long one, but these are some of the places we went.
Yes.
Some of the things that we did, and I just wanted to give a quick.
Obviously, speaking about yesterday's struggles will get us to, will help us get to tomorrow. Obviously, tomorrow is big. You got Trump dabbling in fascism, Clinton opening the doors for the Pentagon, and so we're running for president. We're entering the presidential election to spur on this movement. Can you explain more about where we got to go with this?
Okay, well, maybe I can do some final remarks as I want to.
Okay.
Any other questions? I'll definitely.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question too. I just, a question and also a comment, but my question is, kind of like to know, Monica, if you could give us like a glimpse of, like, the party decided to run candidates, forgot how long ago, last year, we made that decision to run candidates for president and vice president. We got together and discussed it and debated it and went back and forth about it. Some weren't really that thrilled by it, and most were thrilled by it, and thought that it would be a useful tool to get out our message about socialism and revolution. So you've been traveling for quite some time now, many months, and could you give us like a snapshot of what you encounter with our class? What do they ask? How do they react? How do they feel about socialism and revolution? That's my one question. And my second question is, so we have September, October, and part of November. What should we be doing and concentrating on with the campaign in those 2.5 months? What would be really beneficial to getting out and talking to our class and reaching our class and, making some change? So those are my two questions, but I just want to make a comment too, kind of like everybody's kind of going back, but I think that Attica for me was like, oh my God, it was, because I was also like 18, 19, whatever, and then I joined the party in 1976, but there was no other party that explained to me like who is a prisoner. A prisoner isn't a criminal. A prisoner is somebody trying to survive under capitalism that couldn't survive the way they want you to survive, so they threw you in jail. Or about racism, or that they no longer need your labor, so they want to get rid of you, get you off the street, and put you in prison. That prisoners are part of our class. And they're workers, but they're captured workers, and they're part of the working class. And just, all that education that Workers' World gave me and others about prisons and prisoners at their concentration camps for the poor. No other organization, I don't even think today, still really has that view that prisoners are our sisters and brothers. They're just captured and behind walls for various reasons, whether it's racism or I agree with Jerry. The thing that just pinged me in your speech was capitalism no longer needs black labor. And if you could elucidate on that more, that is so important for our class to understand, that capitalism is never, ever going to provide employment for the whole working class, ever. And once, they can't, and the system can't and won't, and throws people in jail and gets rid of them or kills them. And it also means that what the education system, we're fighting, a lot around the education system. It also means if they're not going to provide a job, it means they don't have to provide an education.
That's right.
So that's why you see no more public schools and the decimation of education. So I won't go on about this.
Padma?
Thank you, Maya, thank you, Monica, for this very good meeting and all the wonderful comments. So I think what the Black Lives Matter movement has done is that it has really brought to the forefront a lot of the things that we knew were happening, but it has given a lot of energy to resistance in different parts of the country at different levels, and I'm very grateful to that. And the recent development with the Green Party, Jill Stein having brother Baraka as her running mate, I think also speaks of that in a sense, bringing a very well-known activist who also started the Black Left Unity Network. So I think this is all testament. I mean, it's all, in some ways related to what has been happening on the ground. So as a friend of your party and as someone who has supported the IAC for a long time, my question for Monica is, going forward, I think it's very important for all of us to make alliances, principled alliances. We may have our differences, we can have our polemics, we can have, all those discussions. So what do you envisage happening as we move forward? Because I think unity is very important at this juncture with fascism at our door and with people like Hillary Clinton, who's in all likelihood going to become the president of the United States. So that's my question.
Boski, any more hands? Boski?
Yeah, before Monica wraps up, I just want to add some questions to the mix. And I too, like any stories, it's so interesting to hear about you and Lamont Lily's travels around the country. And participating in the RNC and the DNC, and then the Peace and Freedom Party process out on the West Coast, and just supporting the liberation struggles here in the U.S. and around the world right now. And Monica's a longtime lead editor of Workers' World newspaper, a paper that's been published since 1959, the year our party was founded, every single week. I mean, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, when comrades have been on vacation, it hasn't come out. But this paper, as someone who loves to do street outreach, I just can't say enough about it. In the recent period when we're out in the streets supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and the demonstrations here in Boston and around the country, the headlines are really, this paper is resonating for people. And I hope that as part of the election campaign, between now and November and the bourgeois elections, and even more important than that, our Workers' World Party conference, that we can get out a lot more of these papers, get them into the hands of young people, especially, and folks in the communities. So Monica, I just want to ask you if you could say a couple words about the paper and its relationship to our sisters and brothers behind the walls, because I think there's some new developments there. And then my other question is, we have a 10-point program for the candidates and for the party, and I just wanted to ask you about the Black Lives Matter movement and its program that recently came out and how we view it.
Should have been writing on this. I know, I was thinking about the same thing, but I got
This is
it.
just, yeah, it's very...
Yeah, because my brain cells haven't left it. Is there any additional comments? Good, how you doing?
I'm Iman. I am in 10th grade, or I'm going into 10th grade.
Where do you go to school?
BLS.
Oh, okay, yeah. Speaking of the struggle.
I'm a BLA alum.
The new, I just wanted to say, the new, I can barely say it, I don't even want to say it. You should have taken the word headmaster out with that rotten principle that just got thrown out for her cover-up of racism. That's my daughter goes there too, her name's Murray. But the new master is an old master. His name is Michael Contreras. And we know him, you know, for many, many years as the leadership at Boston Latin School, who actually presided over the destruction of affirmative action there, beginning with a lawsuit by a white parent from West Roxbury in 1995 named McLaughlin. But you're going to have your year cut out for you. Michael Contreras was the interim superintendent in 2005, who threatened to have us arrested as well when we were campaigning to try and get Rosa Parks as a holiday in Boston. We in fact, after a demonstration, the bishop and some of the rest of us found ourselves in his office, where he said, under no uncertain terms, if you ask any kids to come out of school that day, we will have you arrested. You're going to have a hell of a year coming up here.
They did come out of school.
And people did come out of school anyway. That's right, and didn't listen to him. But pardon me for the interruption. That was rude. But I just had to say hello.
I'm BLS.
And you mentioned BLS. This is going to be a focal point of the struggle this year as well at BLS because of the bursting of the racist scene by the students on Martin Luther King Day last year by Black at BLS. It was actually the modern Black Lives Matter movement and civil rights struggle that took this awful headmaster down.
Yeah.
Should have took that word with her too. Harvard University even got rid of the master this year. Boston Public Schools should too.
In your name.
My name's Yahia, same school.
What do you think about what you saw today or what you heard today? Was it new information for you? Have you heard about it before?
No, I've never really heard about this.
They're not teaching you. It's part of the problem.
We're gonna have some groups outside of BLS, like when y'all get out at 1:45, that's when the real school gonna begin. Any other questions or comments? How are you doing, my friend? I haven't seen you in a long time. Mr. Brown, great to see you. Trinidad.
I have been out of the country for a little while.
Yes. How do you feel about what you heard here tonight? We mentioned Claudia Jones, who is also from Trinidad, and
Well,
you know.
it gets me to realize that all these governments all over the world, they're on the same page. They're on the same page of oppressing the citizens of the countries.
So Monica. Oh, okay.
Okay, just give me a second. Wait.
Oh,